Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcome to our 201st episode. 2025 is in full effect, and Valentine's Day is next week. Are you all ready? Time flies. 5 years on the air over here on 710 WOR, and it's always such a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly makes it all worthwhile. We are extremely active on Instagram. Please make sure to follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z, X-E-N. And also remember that all of our episodes stream 24/7 on your home TV platform and Kathy Ireland worldwide. And of course, you could always find us directly on our YouTube channel at Zen Sams, where we upload every Sunday at 2 p.m. In the Polished Beauty segment, alongside my contributor, Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon and OBGYN, we're chatting from Broadway to big screens with Benjamin Pajak and momager Karen Pajak on building dreams and the family bonds. He's currently starring in The Life of Chuck. You may have even seen him on Broadway alongside Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster in The Music Man, or even at New York City Center with Raul Esperanza in the musical Oliver. Can't wait to chat with him. He's going to be coming up soon. In the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by One Spawn to Coconut, we're joined by Courtney Swan. She's so amazing. She's an integrative nutritionist, food activist, and the powerhouse host of the wildly popular podcast Realfoodology. She's on a mission to heal America's broken food system, and we know how broken that system is. And she's here to empower you with the truth about what you're putting into your body. We're going to chat microplastics and dyes in your bloodstream and the shocking truth about what's on your plate. In our Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2 Lift and our expert on the microphone series, today we're joined by Dr. Stephen Cohen. He's an internationally known plastic surgeon and the founder of Faces Plus in San Diego. He's named one of America's best plastic surgeons in 2024 by Newsweek magazine, and he's been called a master of face transformation and the most exquisite artist in the beauty world. He's going to join me today to chat all about how regenerative medicine is taking the aesthetic world by storm, and of course, how products like CO2 Lift are complementing the results. In my mom-approved 710 WR Tri-State Business feature, parents, athletes, and sports lovers, get ready. There's a game changer in youth sports, and it's right here in the Tri-State area. Whether your kid is training to be the next MVP or just looking to stay active and have fun, this place truly has it all. Stay tuned mid-show, and I'm going to announce them and reveal my top pick. Stay tuned for 13-year-old Broadway sensation Benjamin Pajak and his momager Karen. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this. A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Polished Beauty Podcast with Dr. Daisy Ayim. Hey, ambitious women, ready to shine on the inside and out? Tune in to the Polished Beauty Podcast, where we talk about business, beauty, brains, and body all in one spot. Meet Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, pro-aging advocate, fitness enthusiast, and your go-to for real talk on leveling up every part of your life. The Polished Beauty Podcast is your dose of ambition meets empowerment. For more information, head to polishedbeautypodcast.com. Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Today in the Polished Beauty segment, I'm joined by my fabulous co-contributor, Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon and OBGYN. Today's segment features an inspiring story about talent, ambition, and family. We're thrilled to welcome 13-year-old Broadway star Benjamin Pajak, currently starring in The Life of Chuck alongside legend Mark Hamill and acclaimed director Mike Flanagan. Tri-state area, you may have seen him on Broadway alongside Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster in The Music Man. You all remember that one. Or at the New York City Center with Raul Esperanza in the musical Oliver, earning critical critical acclaim for his captivating performances. He's joined today by his mom, Karen, who has been the driving force behind his career. Together, they've mastered the Hollywood game while maintaining a strong mother-son bond. We're going to dive into their unique journey, how Karen's vision shaped Benjamin's career, how they navigate social media and branding, and what it takes to balance family, school, and fame. It's a conversation about dreams, dedication, and what it takes to make it in showbiz, both as a family, as talent, and as entrepreneurs. From Broadway to big screens, Benjamin Pajak and Momager Karen on building dreams and family bonds. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Wow, what an introduction. That's terrific.
How do you know I call her Momager?
I know, it's amazing. I can't wait to speak to the both of you. You guys are a brilliant duo. Let's dive right in. So, Karen, statistics show that parental involvement plays a huge role in shaping a child's success. There are many studies, but there was one in particular that stood out. A 2001 study found that kids with hands-on parental guidance were 35% more likely to achieve their goals. Now, you've been Benjamin's guide from the start, exposing him to Broadway and New York City's cultural gems. Benjamin, how has that shaped who you are today as a performer and as a person? And then I'd love to hear your perspective, Karen, after he answers.
Yeah. When I was really little, like 6, 7, my mom would take me into New York and we would see a Broadway show basically every week. And my first Broadway show was Phantom of the Opera, and I fell in love with it. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And I started getting into acting, and I started doing regional productions around New Jersey. And then we found an open call for Music Man, and one thing led to another. And I got Music Man. I waited for a couple years because of the pandemic, and Music Man happened, and Oliver, and a couple films came out, and it's been a crazy ride, but I haven't been able to do it without her.
Oh.
Karen, how do you feel it's shaped who Benjamin has become today, exposing him to all that you did when he was growing up?
I think this industry is tremendous for kids like Benjamin, who have a rich imagination, he just seemed at such a young age, he just loved this material. And we're in such a great area to expose him to such wonderful things. And he just went with it. And I just think it's terrific. And the people he's been exposed to, that he's worked with, I mean, that's just an invaluable experience that I could have never given him. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, it's such a testament to how critical early exposure is. I mean, you're proof that family values can lay the groundwork for extraordinary careers.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, so Karen, what's been the most challenging part of being a mom, manager, and how do you navigate setting boundaries between your roles?
Ooh, I'd like to hear this.
It's a lot. I do have a lot of support from my family, which is critical.
Love
I
you,
think, to
Baba, and
support
love you,
Grandma
guys.
and Grandpa, and people in the industry who have been wonderful. And that's our family base.
Mhm.
I think that's essential, that you find your people and rely on them. He's a big part of it. If he didn't have the drive, we couldn't do this, because it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of work. You know, every day is a little different. They're not always as intense as the other, but when they are, you can't, as a parent, you can't make your kid do that. They have to have that drive.
So Benjamin, yeah, that's true. I mean, you're very correct saying that it's up to the child, right? And Benjamin, I want to know, what's your typical day like? How do you juggle school, rehearsal, family time, maybe friends?
Yeah. When I first started off, it was a little weird because I wasn't really used to, going to the theater and rehearsals and all that. Now since I've been doing more film now, it's been a little bit more easier to manage, spending more time with my mom and friends and stuff like that. But, a normal day really is I wake up, I warm my voice up to get in the right place, and I go get my egg sandwich from the deli across the street.
There's a lot of traditions, a lot of structure that we have within our non-structure, if that makes sense.
And I do that, and then I usually do my school, and if I have any self-tapes and voiceovers and stuff like that, then we do that next. And then I have time the rest of the day to do whatever I want, to call friends and go to the park and eat at nice restaurants and stuff like that.
Sounds very balanced and healthy to me.
What a city kid. What a city kid. Benjamin, Gen Z actors, like, older generations and even younger than you are kind of reshaping Hollywood by being both performers and digital entrepreneurs. And social media can make or break careers these days. So how has social media helped build your following, and how do you manage staying authentic but still growing as a brand?
A few years ago when I started my Instagram, we started it during the pandemic, and we started it mainly because I had just started homeschooling. And the main reason why we started it was we were going to make a post every day, and I was going to write the caption, and that was going to be my writing assignment for the day. And one thing kind of led to another, and it really started to become really big. And, we hit milestones. We hit like 100 followers and be like, yay, we did it. And it's just been growing. And now whenever I meet people that follow me and who've been with me since I've been like 8 years old, and see them when I do projects now, it's amazing to meet these people.
That's awesome.
Now, Karen, guiding Benjamin through Hollywood must be like running a startup, and entertainment careers require a strong entrepreneurial mindset, right? Because that's really what it is. How have you helped him think of his career as a business, and what values do you believe are crucial to thriving in this industry?
That's super important. And no one gives you the guidebook when you start this. There is no one. It's very scary, and it's very frustrating as a mom, seeing all of this. You have to stick to your guts as to your foundation, as to what you know is right. I think in this is to your values, because there's a lot of stuff that's not so great in Hollywood too.
Mhm.
You want to teach your kid, how to behave on the set, how to, engage with the other actors, how to do your work, how to show up on set and be present and be able to work. And I think he's doing that. And he's loving it.
It's inspiring to see how much thought and care you've put into this. And it's clear Benjamin is not just talented, but also grounded.
Yeah.
That's essential. I think that's and that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard when people are telling you, I'll get you, you want fried chicken for lunch? Okay, I'll run and get it for you.
Yeah, and
it's really hard.
It's really hard. It's really hard when you're like 2 seconds from KFC and you want it, and people are like, "Hey, you want KFC?" And I'm like, "Sure." But another thing, I've been working with so many people who are just kind and who are so much, who are really, really grounded, and it's so humbling. I mean, it's so humbling to work with people like that, and I've been very blessed to have had the
and
opportunity.
Talented, super talented.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What was it like working with Hugh Jackman?
He is so incredibly humbling to you. He's always, he never looks down on you. He's always there to be your friend, support you. I remember when I was doing Oliver, and, he sent me a text saying, you're just gonna be great, and you're gonna be fine. I mean, it's your first leading role, and you're gonna be great. It's always good to know that people like him have your back, because there's been moments in my career where I've been very scared. And, knowing that these people really are standing behind me and are always there for me, it's really, really, it really gives me confidence. And another thing, we saw Hugh Jackman at Radio City. He was very great.
Yeah, he's so talented.
So Benjamin, your rehearsal schedules must be intense. How do you stay focused both mentally, physically, for roles like Winthrop in The Music Man?
Yeah. Winthrop was a little bit a while ago. So now I'm a much more different person than what I was back then. But I still kind of keep the same things. When I was doing Music Man, and still up to this day, I go to the gym every morning. I run on the treadmill for a little bit, and now, especially at my age now, I've been going to the gym more often and doing some weights and stuff like that. And it's been very good physically training my body. And I've been also doing my meditation. It really, really centers me. If I'm you can do it for anything. If I'm stressed, if I'm, if I'm trying to focus my mind on a project, it's always there for me, and it always gets me back in the moment.
How old are you again?
14
Jesus.
on March 24th.
Yeah, you're like 13 going on 30. You're an old soul. And Karen, you've shaped his path, and Benjamin, you've worked hard to make your vision a reality. So let's talk fun. What do you do together when you're not working to unwind and reconnect as a family?
So we go to the park. Well, first off, we watch football, a lot of football during the NFL season, even though my team lost to a doinked field goal in the wild card, but we're not going to talk
Them
about
Buccaneers.
She knows.
There you go.
I know.
We watch a lot of football. We like to go to the park. We like to eat places.
We like New York City.
Yeah. We like just going out. I mean, we like just like walking around New York and doing stuff like. I mean, I was about to say seeing shows.
And Lincoln Center, we love the library. Yeah. And
fun fact, I've never actually watched Music Man though. I want to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Someday
I'm like that.
What I want to know from the both of you, I think this is such a nice dynamic, and I just love the way you guys have a wonderful relationship. What advice would you give a parent-child team like you guys pursuing careers in entertainment? I want to hear from you, Benjamin, your perspective, and Mom, your perspective.
Yeah, I think going into it, you should know when you first start, it's going to be very, very hard. I mean, there's going to be so much. There's going to be so much waiting. I went through so much waiting, especially during the pandemic when, there was a lot of auditions, but a lot of stuff wasn't going forward. There's a lot of waiting, and you have to not get frustrated at yourself to know that, the right thing is going to pull through when the time is right, and people are going to see your work. And the more that you have that kind of duo and you have each other's backs, it really, at least for me and my mom, it's really become a key factor of where we are in our lives right now. And I think just always being there for each other is the biggest thing that's really made an impact on where we are.
Love that, Mom.
I think the biggest thing is communication. I have to know how he's feeling, how far I can push him sometimes, and when to pull back, so that he has his space and he's able to, because you have to be calm and relaxed in this business. You can't be on pins and needles all the time, or that doesn't work. So both of us, we really need to, make sure that we're both on the same page.
Sounds like it sounds like you guys have nice core values that you've balanced among yourself.
Thank you. And Karen, raising a child star while maintaining a strong family bond is a feat, and balancing work and personal life is the top challenge for families in our industry. How has this particular journey strengthened your relationship with Benjamin, and what's the biggest lesson for you as a momager?
I think this was the greatest thing I did. We started this. I didn't mean to do this. I didn't set out to do this. I don't think I'm sure some people do, but this wasn't my intention to do this. I was a very happy music teacher in a public system. But I saw this and we just went forward and followed it. And I think it was the best decision for us, both personally, creatively, spiritually. I think it's the best. I love this industry. I love what it's brought to our lives. I'm very grateful.
I love that. That's such a beautiful perspective. It's no wonder you both shine so bright as a team.
Oh, thank you. You're just one. It's so wonderful to meet you. You are an amazing lady.
Yes, she is.
It's love all around. It's love all around. Well, we are officially at the end of our interview, but I know Dr. Daisy has one question she asks everybody prior to saying goodbye. Go ahead, Dr. Daisy.
This one is for Benjamin. At your young, wonderful age of 13, if there was one thing or one moment in your life that you feel has gotten you so far, what would that be?
Opening night on Music Man. It was so electrifying. It really was the day that I thought to myself, nothing can go wrong, because even if anything were to go wrong, I feel supported by these people, and I haven't felt nervous for a project since. And that day was really kind of what kickstarted my mindset, I guess you could say, on thinking, on being able to look at a script and being able to rehearse it with my mom, and doing the lines and putting in the beats and putting in the work, and not being lazy about it in a way. And having my mom and all my support and my family is there's been so many people who have really made an impact on me. And I can't thank everybody enough.
Well, we could go on all day and keep talking, but I want to officially thank you both, Benjamin and Karen. It's been such a pleasure having you here today. I mean, your journey is a powerful reminder of the impact family can have in shaping success. And Dr. Daisy, thank you so much for your wonderful questions.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Karen and Benjamin. I appreciate both of you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much for having us.
Guys, to see more of Benjamin, you could head directly to his website at benjaminpajak.com or check him out on the gram at benjamin.pajak.official. And of course, Dr. Daisy Ayim, you could definitely head to her website at drdaisyyim.com or on the gram at Dr. Daisy Ayim. And of course, to learn more and keep up with the Polished Beauty Podcast, you could head to polishedbeautypodcast.com or check them out on the gram at Polished Beauty Podcast. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this. A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Polished Beauty Podcast with Dr. Daisy Ayim. Hey, ambitious women, ready to shine on the inside and out? Tune in to the Polished Beauty Podcast, where we talk about business, beauty, brains, and body all in one spot. Meet Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, pro-aging advocate, fitness enthusiast, and your go-to for real talk on leveling up every part of your life. The Polished Beauty Podcast is your dose of ambition meets empowerment. For more information, head to polishedbeautypodcast.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com. Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. It's time for Hydration with Heart, brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, the perfect blend of hydration and, of course, purpose. Today, we're uncovering something shocking that's hiding in very plain sight, the dangerous secrets of what's in our food and how it's quietly wreaking havoc on our health. We're talking about microplastics, food dyes, and gut health. And if you're thinking that doesn't sound like my problem, think again. These invisible threats are linked to chronic diseases, hormone imbalances, and even mental health disorders. To help us navigate this critical conversation, we have such an incredible guest with us today. Courtney Swan is an integrative nutritionist, food activist, and the powerhouse host of the wildly popular podcast, Realfoodology. She's on a mission to heal America's broken food system and empower you with the truth about what you're putting into your body. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So excited to dive into my favorite topic. As the millennial mom, I'm constantly researching what is safe and not safe, not only for what I'm ingesting in my body, but my daughter, who's 9 years old. A 2022 study found that microplastics were present in 80% of human blood samples that were tested, that plastic in our bloodstream. So for our listeners who might not be familiar, can you break down what microplastics are and how they're ending up in our food and water?
Yeah, so unfortunately, these are one of those invisible threats that we generally are pretty unaware of in the general public. So the microplastics, how they're getting into our food is there's two different ways. So you remember back in like the 90s and maybe early 2000s where there was a lot of toothpaste that had those little beads in it. So it turns out those were actually microplastics. And so that's one form of microplastics. That they're also in some face washes that have scrubs and things like that. Now, those have largely started being phased out because we started to realize that this is probably not the best idea to put these little tiny beads of plastic in our things that we were consuming and putting on our skin. But another way, largely how these microplastics are getting into our diets are it's larger plastic that's breaking down. So think about everything that you buy at the grocery store that's currently wrapped in plastic, or for example, the Tetra Packs, right? Where the cartons of non-dairy milk, where they look like the cardboard, but the inside they're actually lined with plastic. Aluminum cans are also lined with plastic on the inside. All the stuff that we're buying in plastic. And unfortunately, we know that over time, plastic degrades. And that's how it's getting into our food, especially when it's heated up. We know when it's heated up, it breaks down and it's ending up in our food. And then it's also ending up in our water. It's also, a study recently came out that we are eating about a credit card's worth of microplastics a week right now.
That's horrifying. The idea that we're ingesting plastic particles daily is enough to make anyone reconsider their lifestyle. And so let's right, like seriously, let's dive deeper, because this problem is bigger than most people realize, right? So let's talk about food dyes. The FDA still approves dyes like red 40 and yellow 5, despite research linking them to hyperactivity in children and potential carcinogenic effects. And these dyes are banned in Europe and in Canada, yet they're everywhere here in the US, from snacks to drinks. Why is this happening? And what can parents do to protect their kids from these harmful additives?
Well, unfortunately, here in the United States, we have something called GRAS, which stands for generally recognized as safe, whereas other countries, like, for example, in the UK, they have a cautionary principle where they're cautionary about what they're going to put into their food. Whereas with generally recognized as safe, what we do is we just say, well, we generally recognize this as safe, so we're going to go ahead and allow it into our food system. And then later, if we find out it's bad for us, we're going to remove it, which we're seeing right now. Red number 3 was just announced it's going to be taken out of our food. But we've known for 30 years that it's linked to cancer. They removed it from our cosmetics 30 years ago because they found a link to cancer. But for some reason, we're allowing it into our food system. The FDA's stance is that there's an insufficient evidence to directly link these dyes to significant health risks in the general population at the levels that are being consumed. But we know with what the UK, I mean, for example, in the UK, if you have something like Red 40 in your food product, they have to have a warning label on it. And people can look this up. This is very well known. Fruit Loops in Canada, for example, they use watermelon juice, they use blueberry, carrot juice to dye their Fruit Loops. Whereas here in the United States, we're using these Red 40, Yellow 5 to dye our Fruit Loops. And that is because the FDA also, they just admitted recently in a hearing with Bernie Sanders that they admitted there's a lack of recent evaluations on their part. They're super behind the research compared to places like the United States. So how can parents avoid these? Start reading labels. You've got to read the food labels. Unfortunately, we have a food system right now that is driven for profit. It's not about human health. And so you need to be vigilant. You need to read all of the food labels. Even things that you wouldn't think would have food dyes in them.
That's infuriating. I mean, our listeners need to hear this loud and clear. What's marketed to kids isn't always safe. So thank you for empowering parents with actionable advice. Now, gut health has become a huge topic lately, and for good reason. A healthy gut microbiome is critical for everything from digestion to mental health. But the standard American diet, processed foods, artificial sweeteners, and additives is destroying our gut bacteria. Can you explain how this imbalance happens and its potential long-term consequences on our health?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of inflammation in people, and inflammation is really the true root cause of all of these chronic diseases that we're seeing across the board. Glyphosate is something that I talk about all the time. This is an herbicide that has been linked to cancer. The World Health Organization is labeling this as a human carcinogen. The IARC is labeling this as a human carcinogen, and glyphosate we know acts like an antibiotic. What do antibiotics do? They kill bacteria. Now we know that in our guts we need a good balance of good and bad bacteria, and if we're killing everything off, it's going to cause an imbalance. So there's that. We're also dealing with leaky gut syndrome on a really large level. There's something called BT corn that people are consuming that we know this BT toxin causes the stomach lining of insects to explode. And what is leaky gut syndrome? It's putting holes in people's guts. And so there's a connection there with what we're eating. There's also excessive sugar intake, which is leading to inflammation of the gut. It's also leading to dysbiosis, which is an imbalance of the good and bad bacteria in the gut. So there's a lot of inflammation happening because what's ultimately happening is people are are no longer eating real food. They're eating a lot of ultra processed fake foods with fillers and additives that our body does not recognize as food. And as a result, it's causing a lot of inflammation. So long-term consequences, we're seeing the results of that right now. I mean, 74% of Americans are obese or overweight. 50% of our children are obese or overweight. We're seeing cardiovascular disease go up, diabetes. I mean, everything across the board is skyrocketing right now.
Fascinating and terrifying at the same time. It's incredible to think that something as simple as what we eat can have such profound effects on both our bodies and minds. Now, your story of discovering your gluten intolerance is so relatable for many. You've mentioned how it led you to uncover the dark side of the food industry. What were some of the most shocking truths you discovered during your journey?
Oh my gosh, there's so many to name. Glyphosate was one of them. Glyphosate was created by the same company that created Agent Orange in World War II. And now we're spraying that all over our food. Essentially, these creators of these herbicides and pesticides needed a new outlet. And where do they send them? They send them to the United States to start spraying all of our food, to kill off the bugs and pesticides on our farmlands. Another one for me that I really had to wrap my brain around was the fact that I mentioned this earlier. Our food system is very profit driven. It's not driven around human health. And unfortunately, just because something is on the shelf doesn't mean that it's been safe, that it's been vetted for, that it's safe. I think a lot of people think that the FDA is doing more than they actually are. The FDA themselves have admitted that they do not have the manpower to simply vet all of the chemicals and additives that are going on our food shelves. So ultimately, it is on us to be our advocates for our own health. We have to become a little bit of investigators, and we have to read all of the food labels, and it's on us to not buy these food products because no one's coming to save us.
That's eye-opening, Courtney. It's amazing how personal struggles often lead to powerful advocacy, and your story it's an inspiration. I mean, you've built an entire platform of followers who truly trust what you have to say because you do your research and you care, and that's much more than the FDA, than we can say for the FDA, right? Because they don't care and they don't do their research, and it's all about money. Now, you've been vocal about regenerative farming as a solution to America's broken food system. So for our audience who may not be familiar, what is regenerative farming and why is it such a game changer for both human health and the planet?
This is something that I am so incredibly passionate about because it's a solution for all of the things that we are concerned about: human health, animal health and animal rights, and then also the planet, right? So people have to understand that we are only as healthy as our soil is, and our soil right now is not healthy. I talked earlier about how glyphosate is acting like an antibiotic, and we forget that our soil has trillions of these micro like bacteria, right, that live in the soil. And that sounds really bad, but actually the bacteria is what feeds this whole ecosystem. It's what feeds the plants. And there's a whole symbiotic relationship that happens in nature where if we allow the soil to do what it's meant to do and we don't kill off all these bugs and kill off the ecosystem, there's this wonderful thing called carbon sequestration that happens where the carbon is actually pulled from the atmosphere back into the soil because carbon is food for the soil. Now, when the soil is healthy and the soil is getting enough carbon, what does it do? It actually feeds our plants, and we're eating those plants. So when those plants have enough nutrients and vitamins and minerals, then we're going to be healthier because we're getting higher counts of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. And what we're seeing right now is there's such a degradation of our soil in the way that we're farming. We're ripping up the topsoil. We're spraying everything really heavily with glyphosate that's killing off all the good bacteria in the soil that creates this ecosystem. And as a result, our fruits and vegetables are no longer full of vitamins and minerals like they once were. And there's tons of studies that are showing this. And so not only is it better for our health, it's also better for our planet because we are allowing this natural symbiosis that happens between the carbon and the soil. And right now we're meddling and we're working against nature, and we need to get back to working with nature, not against her.
It's incredible. Regenerative farming sounds like the silver lining and the silver bullet we've been searching for, but it's clear that awareness and support are much needed and key to make it mainstream, just like everything else. Now, lastly, Courtney, your podcast, Realfoodology, has been a lifeline for so many navigating their health journey. If you could give our listeners one immediate action step to improve their health today, what would it be?
It's really simple. Just start eating real food again. And what do I mean by that? Eat as much whole, real foods in their natural state as much as possible. Focus on things that our ancestors ate and that our ancestors have been eating largely since the dawn of time, right? We're in this weird place right now where we're vilifying all the foods that humans have eaten since forever. Steak, eggs, butter, produce, so fruit, vegetables, all the things that our ancestors grew up eating, right? And we're largely eating ultra-processed, fake food-like products that are full of these additives, full of dyes, full of all these things that we need to not be eating. And if you're going to buy something in a package, it's really simple. Read that ingredient label. If the ingredients are not ingredients that you would have in your kitchen at home or ingredients that you recognize that you could buy in the grocery store, put that package back and look for another one that has really simple ingredients that you recognize.
So actionable and simple and empowering. Courtney, thank you so much. Sometimes it's just about starting small and being consistent. And thank you for breaking it down like you did very clearly.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I really urge anyone listening right now to connect with Courtney on the gram. She does reply at Realfoodology, and you can check out her podcast, Realfoodology, for more insights and tips. And remember, your health is your wealth. Let's start paying attention to what we're putting on our plates. Until next time, I'm your host, Zen Sams, right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. That was our expert on the microphone series in the Hydration with Heart segment, brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
The Kelly Williams Show is brought to you by Serendipity Yacht Cruises and Events. Tune in and turn on your happy. Kelly Williams is full of energy and incredible guests. Watch her anytime, free programming on Your Home TV network, and do follow her on social media for a chance to win monthly prizes. Check out The Kelly Williams Show on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Tri-state area, listen up. If you're looking for the ultimate spot to empower your kids through sports while building lifelong friendships, I've got the place for you. The Fieldhouse in Northvale, New Jersey. As a millennial mom, radio host, and someone who knows the value of a supportive, active community, I'm giving the Fieldhouse my full seal of approval. This is more than just a sports facility. It's a youth sports community designed to train, inspire, and unite families through world-class instruction and top-tier programs. Whether your child is an aspiring athlete or just looking to stay active, the Fieldhouse has it all. They offer speed and agility training, strength programs, and sport-specific coaching to help kids maximize their potential. Whether in baseball, softball, basketball, wrestling, or even beyond, looking for camps and clinics, they've got summer camps, school break camps, and specialized skill building clinics. And for teams, well, they're home to the New Jersey Wildcats baseball, New Jersey Thunder softball, and Anchor wrestling. Elite training right at your fingertips. Need a space for your next team practice, birthday party, or even private event? Their state-of-the-art turf fields, batting cages, basketball courts, and volleyball courts are available for rental, making the Fieldhouse the ultimate destination for sports, fun, and community. Parents, this is the place to be. The Fieldhouse prioritizes safety, inclusivity, and expert coaching, ensuring your kiddos are in the best hands. Head to NewJerseyFieldhouse.com now to book a session, sign up for a camp, or plan your next event. The Fieldhouse, where young athletes grow, friendships form, and the love of sports come to life.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase in luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance.
For more information or to order CO2 Lift, ask your skincare professional or go to co2lift.com. Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in the Going Deep segment, brought to you by CO2 Lift. In our Expert on the Microphone series, today we're joined by Dr. Stephen Cohen, an internationally known plastic surgeon and the founder of Faces Plus in San Diego, where he and his team are committed to offering holistic care that evolves with you over time. He's named one of America's best plastic surgeons in 2024 by Newsweek magazine. Dr. Cohen has been called a master of face transformation and the most exquisite artist in the beauty world by his peers in his field. That's a huge endorsement. He's going to join me today to chat all about how regenerative medicine is taking the aesthetic world by storm and how products like CO2 Lift are complementing its results. Welcoming now to the show is the amazing Dr. Stephen Cohen. Welcome, superstar.
Thank you very much.
So excited to have you. So excited. So let's dive right in. You are not just an esteemed plastic surgeon, but also an innovator, developing one of the earliest internal distraction systems, the MID system, right? And holding a patent for the macropore biodegradable distraction device. But there's one groundbreaking innovation I want to focus on today, and that is LipoCube, a revolutionary device you co-created that utilizes stem cells to enhance facial rejuvenation. This is so intriguing to me. Could you elaborate on the mechanics of LipoCube, its regenerative properties, and how it has transformed the results of procedures like facelifts?
Absolutely. It's a combination of evaluating the way a patient declines. So if you look at each patient or each person, as we age, we go through a growth, development, and a gradual decline. If we look at the face, we can analyze fat compartments, skin, and bone to see more precisely which tissues in you or me are declining. And by using LipoCube, which generates various types of fat, one for structure and one for regeneration, we can actually modify your decline. So like nuclear decay, the amount you start with, the amount you end with, and the rate that you get there, we can change the rate of aging. So what we're doing is literally altering how a person ages by a very specific protocol using this device.
Wow. It's clear you are at the forefront of regenerative medicine, and it's especially innovative when you are combining these techniques with other procedures such as facelifts to enhance results beyond the ordinary. Now let's take this even one step further by bringing CO2 Lift into the picture. While the CO2 Lift gel mask has many monotherapy benefits, from increased hydration to reduced wrinkles, it can also be used apparently post-procedure to address inflammation, scarring, and speed up that healing process overall. How do you help your patients through the recovery period after a facelift? And how have you seen products like CO2 Lift carboxytherapy aid in both enhancing procedure results and patient care?
That's a great question, Zen. And, anything we can do to influence healing, but one, by reducing inflammation, by improving blood supply, is going to accelerate recovery. And over a long term, when we use devices like CO2 Lift, we're actually able to continue these benefits at home. And that's one of the great things about the product is we apply it actually right after a facelift is done. We take it off in the recovery room when the patient goes home. And then, depending on the patient's particular journey, we use this on the postoperative period quite frequently, almost akin to using hyperbaric oxygen, but these are things they can deliver to themselves at home. They don't have to get into a device. It's not an hour-long process. It's a simple 40-minute mask, feels comfortable when it's on, peels off very easily. So very complementary to regenerative surgery.
So you just said something that I want to go back to. Hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Now, I've heard many of your peers compare CO2 Lift to a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, which makes sense, both as therapy, because both therapies, if you think of the science of it, they utilize oxygen in the respective processes. But I think it goes without saying that using a non-invasive gel mask that can be applied in the office or even at home, to your point, is significantly easier than resorting to a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. So how do you see innovations like CO2 Lift the mask influencing maybe the future of post-surgical care and plastic surgery?
I see it both with pre and post op care. I see it as a preventative maneuver. Anything we can do, just like diet, exercise prolongs our life, anything we can do to prolong cellular, senescence or aging is going to be valuable. So not only post-operatively, but it's a very good treatment to be using at home, on a daily basis or a weekly basis, depending on one's budget. And we use it post-operatively for healing, but long-term use of devices like this, in addition to various types of creams and other kinds of regenerative therapies, are going to take over what current cosmetics and cosmeceuticals are doing.
And I love it because it's so simple. And the science is the science is the science. It's clinically researched, it's clinically verified. They have the clinicals on this, which makes me as a patient feel so much more comfortable, right?
That's great to hear, because in your age group, I think that, I worry sometimes that Instagram overly influences, and sometimes it's an illusion. So science to me is critical. And when you start to have data that are showing things like 80% improvements in skin conditions 2 years, 3 years, 6, 8 years later, that's science. But it takes a long time for these techniques to become mainstream. And I think we're right at the beginning of that upswing. I'm very excited because I've been working in the field literally for 20 years. We were using cells like we would get from LipoCube and injecting them into coronary arteries with the cardiologist after heart attacks and improving heart function. So it's a very exciting field.
Fascinating. Now I'm going to shift gears because you're also a pioneer in the use of exosomes in anti-aging treatments, which is a very hot topic right now. Now I know you co-founded a company making something called a hybrosome. Can you tell me more about what a hybrosome is and how it functions to promote skin rejuvenation and slow the aging process? Because they go hand in glove.
And this is really fascinating because here we really have science. We work with an amazing group of Harvard and MIT scientists, and the company we founded, Mage, has produced a product called Morphea. Now, what Morphea does, a hybrosome is a bioengineered exosome, meaning that you take a young exosome and you encase it with something called a liposome that you can add amino acids, proteins, etc., so you can target skin. And what happens when you apply this just as a topical agent, the cells receive new software. It's like kind of uploading software to your iPhone. Now these cells, not only does the face look better, but the cells, if you measure telomere lengths, an indication of cell aging, they become longer. So this is what's so fascinating. We've shown in the lab with old skin cells, they become youthful. So it's a Benjamin Button effect. And it's fascinating because, again, not only do you look more beautiful and your skin more radiant, but if you literally take a cell, that cell is healthier. So it's a longevity play.
I'm coming to see you. I'm leaving the tri-state area and I'm coming to San Diego because you are doing things that no other doctor I've heard of here. And I've interviewed many experts on the microphone. No one is doing this. No one.
Well, I'm fortunate to work with an amazing team of people out of London, Turkey, the US, worldwide. And we've come up as a consortium with an entire longevity program. So it's very exciting. And this plays in beautifully.
Yeah. And that ecosystem is so important to find those minds, those like minds like yours, to continue your expansion in the research. Now, I want to go back to exosomes and CO2 lift. Both have revolutionary skin rejuvenation benefits, but can be even more powerful when paired together. Now, in your expert experience, how do the results of the CO2 lift mask compare to those of exosome treatments? And on the other hand, how do they complement each other when paired?
I will tell you they are highly complementary. One is uploading new software and one is making cells healthier. So I think the combination is really key. It's really almost like diet and exercise. What you put into the cell or in your mouth has a huge influence on your longevity, but how you exercise, what you do with external things like using CO2 lift, increases oxygen supply, etc., makes the muscles more robust. So totally complementary.
Now, switching gears, aside from your accomplishments in your practice, and you're also an educator serving as a clinical professor at the University of California and directing the Craniofacial Fellowship at Rady Children's Hospital, you have a list of accomplishments unmatched. Why do you believe education is crucial in the field of plastic surgery for both students and practicing health professionals, especially in an era of such rapid advancements? Like, poof, every month something else is coming up.
Well, I've never really thought I knew it all, so I am always been curious to learn more. And I think the only way to learn more is through education and listening to experts that bring to me and to others information that can be easily incorporated into, not only your lifestyle, but your practice, your job, etc. So to me, education is absolutely key if you want to remain open-minded and you want to grow as an individual.
I couldn't agree more. And I want to go back to something patients and younger generations are focusing on today, which is, in fact, preventative skincare, with many adopting proactive routines and seeking out specialized care early on before problems arise. How can regenerative medicine and products like CO2 Lift be used not only to treat existing concerns, but also as a preventative measure for maintaining that youthful appearance?
This is a great question, but we know from birth with genetic testing kind of where we're heading. We know, are we going to be a rapid ager? Are we going to be a slow ager? Are we going to get heart disease? Are we going to get Alzheimer's? So once we have this information, we can then design programs around trying to avoid these things and trying to prolong the inevitable. And this is what's exciting about these new kinds of approaches in the aesthetic world, is it's really being done through the perspective and the lens of longevity of our tissue, longevity of us as people. So, for instance, one of the things we've done in the London Regenerative Institute is we have an AI program that allows us, with a blood test and a finger stick and a medical history, to tell you your rate of aging, my rate of aging, my telomere length, and then we design bespoke supplements to address conditions that your genetics just can't quite solve on its own. So the world for you is going to be incredible.
I love manipulating the aging process. This is music to my ears, literally.
To everyone. But it's really viable.
It's sustainable.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're officially out of time. I couldn't thank you enough for coming on. I mean, your insight, your experience, and more importantly, your expertise are unmatched. And I thank you for being part of the expert on the microphone series.
Thank you for having me, Zen. It's a pleasure to meet you.
That was our Going Deep segment, brought to you by CO2 Lift. And that was the incredible Dr. Stephen Cohen, internationally recognized plastic surgeon and innovator. Definitely check out his practice, Faces Plus, at facesplus.com, and on the gram at faces_plus. And then you can check out his individual page at Dr. Stephen Cohen. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance.
For more information or to order CO2 Lift, ask your skincare professional or go to co2lift.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Are you looking to build a new home? Think about building a barn-dominium. There's just something about getting away from it all. Country living, fresh air, and outdoor entertainment. Watch luxury barn-dominium tours on Your Home TV and let Stacy Lynn, the barn-dominium lady, take you on a journey through her barn-dominium designs.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. We are at the end of our date. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/a moment of Zen. And also remember that we're live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are available on Your Home TV and Kathy Ireland Worldwide streaming platform. And you could head directly to our channel. It's free programming to you, mox.yourhometv.com. Thanks again to all of our listeners. It has been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it.